Howdy and welcome to Finnish Metal Review. Coming from Finland, we have a band called Trauma Field, which has been here for about 18 years. 3 albums out. This one is the latest one, and this one is called From Wounded Soil, featuring 8 tracks of melodic metal. Now, some people might even make a claim that this self-financed release is more something else than metal, and that something else would be more kind of a melodic progressive rock than metal in fact, and those people would be actually halfway through, even more. The thing here is, this is a complicated release in so many ways and has sort of a kind of a luggage from the band's past. I'll guide you through with this Metal Archives site on the background when I'm talking to you about this very band and the album in question. As you can probably see, this band was founded as early as 2004, and since then they have released 2 albums prior to this one. Not the most active one when it comes to albums, but such is life, and there has been quite a bit of lineup changes throughout the years, so that might have also slowed things down. But 6 years since the previous one, and this band is still considered here as melodic doom death metal. Now that might have applied to the previous version of the band. Having reviewed Changing Tides back in the days, can't really, remember the album as such, but I was revisiting my older review and reading about notes and getting the kind of a feeling, and back then it was clear that this band was more about more metallic in its ways. Now, since a lot of things have changed through these 6 years, it's kind of understandable that now the band is at a crossroads. And by that I mean, on the other hand, they definitely have this kind of a melodic doom death part present here, but that's more on the marginal side. I mean, there are growly vocals, certainly, but they are not the main vocals, if you will. Also, some of the parts with the songs are quite metallic, whereas most of it's actually more on the lighter side of things. So this is, in my opinion, a band in transition phase, kind of a putting back, the past, which is more on the melodic death doom kind of side. I mean, the pace is quite slow, and there are these riffs that could be said, yeah, it's doom death, quite okay. But then again, a lot of this album is in fact quite different. I mean, it's spending more time with, this kind of a melodic leads, lots of clean vocals, and lots of riffs and ideas which don't exactly sound very metallic, but more kind of a rock and roll. Not rock and roll, to type that, whether we're talking about the Beatles or, Foo Fighters, but more on the prog rock side. So it's kind of a very light and kind of a nice, but also super lightweight in terms there is no rough riffs, there is no raspy vocals. It's more about getting your emotions, and say, let's do it and drink some beer. So there's very, very different tones on this album. And that creates the contrast, which seems like a little bit forced. And once again, by that I mean, you don't necessarily need those growler parts with this album. In fact, they could have been totally left off, and this album would have been actually, probably at least, a lot better without them, because now it's speaking 2 different kind of audience. On the other hand, there's this kind of a swallow the sun type of audience, expecting this melodic doom devil, kind of a melancholy, slow pace, yet at the same time still melodic parts, but also these growler vocals, in order to justify they are more on the extreme metal side. But in fact, when you really listen to this album, you don't find anything that could be said or called death metal. I mean, there is nothing of that. So it's only doom death metal, and even that with a kind of a quotation marks. But on the other hand, as the most album is spent with these more clean vocals things, I mean, the whole band is doing backing vocals according to the information I got from the band, and then having these kind of a soft tune vocals, nice clean guitars, having a little bit of progressive parts here and there. I think that's the forte of the band. So one could say remove 1/3 or even 1/4 of the whole album, and it's purely exactly that. Kind of a clean and nice progressive metal. Nothing too complicated, so kind of easy to get into, but also giving you this kind of a floating feeling, if you know what I mean. The kind of stuff when you just drive with your convertible car and let your hair go back and just enjoy the sunshine. I don't have the hair, I don't have the convertible car either, but you get the idea. Well, at least I hoped you to. So in my opinion, this album has too much of that luggage that just needs to go. We don't need that anymore. The band has moved on from those early years, and that's pretty much of it. So in that case, or this case, this one is kind of a tough cookie to, crack, because it's not supporting any of the audiences fully. It's more like trying to bow in two different directions and at the same time mooning to the other ones as well. I mean, there are lots of people who just don't like growly vocals at all. And when you have them forced here, it feels like, I'm not going to listen to it because that's growly vocals. And at the same time, this is not going to, satisfy the needs of people who just want to doom death. There's way too much different stuff for that matter. But anyway, an interesting release, and in my opinion, step forward from the previous one. I think the band has now finally found their own way, their own path, what to do and which way to go. Production-wise, this is very solid. All the vocals are really good, and I like the guitar sound. I like the drums. Everything is like super crisp and clear, which then again supports this kind of music fully. So production-wise, can't really nag about anything. But songwriting is something that needs to change, in my opinion, and for the better. Just let the past go and focus on the future, which is not very metallic. That's my take on it. If you want to listen to some samples, take a look at the links provided in the description box and check out the band's social media pages for more information, or this Metal Archive site for more basic information about the band and releases, or more links. So there's that. This should be available on your local or favorite streaming service, so give it a go and enjoy.